Hi, welcome back to another episode of Coldstream Rod Shop. I'm Derek Fraser. In this week's video, we're going to be working on the Camera Ladies 32 Ford chassis as well as the body. We're still going to have, unfortunately, the same theme of doing body work. Hopefully, we've got to finish sand now the high build primer on it. It's going to take a while, but that's the process. Ultimately, I want to get it painted. Probably not this week, maybe at the end of this episode, fingers crossed, but in the next 7 to 10 days it's going to get painted. The other thing I'm going to do, we painted the gas tank last week, so what I've got to do, I've got to finish bolting it down. Like I said at the end of the last week's video, more than likely I'm going to put a gasket between the tank and the frame. We've got to hook up the pickup tube, the gas tank sending unit, and then I've also got to finish doing the fuel lines up to it. So there's a few little things we've got to finish there on it. And then also we've got to put the spreader bar in. Those are all just small little things, but we want to get all of that done before we go ahead and have the body painted. So basically everything hooked up before we get the body painted and put the body back on the frame. If I have time where I can move stuff else out of the way while I'm doing it, we'll work a little bit on a 33 Ford chassis, but where we're sanding the 32 Ford Roadster body, I don't want to have too many sparks flying over there right now. So anyways, we're going to be working on the same projects and trying to move them on to the next step. Well, tonight started sanding off my red guide coat. Again, unintentional from the overspray, but actually it's very effective here. We've got nice red haze over everything, just as if I put a spray on guide coat. So right now, the hardest part to do on all this is working on the cowl, just because there's so many different little places to sand around. The firewall is going to take the most amount of time. I mean, it's all going to take some time to sand it properly, but right now what I'm doing is I'm initially sanding it with 240 and then going over it with 320. I used some of these little pads that I had. They're actually not too bad, but what I found was the shapes weren't exactly what I needed. So in some cases, I just took them on the belt sander down in my shop and I recontoured them so that I could take these and then work around like these built up areas like this, because what you don't want to do is use your fingers, because if you use your fingers you can put finger marks. Sometimes you have to use your fingers lightly in areas, but the big thing is not to put pressure onto it. You risk basically leaving finger sanding marks onto it. More so on metal work, but when I was in the furniture shop, the same thing. Always use a pad of some kind with your sandpaper so that you make sure you've got a nice even level sand. It'll show up later when things are shiny. So the other thing I did, because it was kind of bugging me from the last episode, was when we put the early Hemi into 33 chassis, it really looked as though I had to move the firewall back, cut the firewall back by 4 inches or so, but going over it with the owner, this little 276 should actually fit in there much better. So what I did, I positioned the cowl over the holes in the body with some bolts, put the radiator support rods on, and a part of my problem before, I think, was the radiator was leaning back too much, not giving myself enough clearance. What we want to do is we actually want to run a mechanical fan, but I don't think we're going to be able to use the metal one. We're probably going to have to use like a plastic flex fan, which actually has the fins behind the pulley. So right now it looks as though I moved this ahead a couple inches. I think I'm going to be able to move it forward at least another 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch if I use the flex fan. Then the only thing that we're going to have to do then is we're going to have to make room here on the original body. When we get it, we'll have to cut a pocket out so that we could fit the distributor in. So right now, I think the heads will just about fit there, but if I can move it forward another 1/2 inch or so, it should clear. But before I make the final position, I'm going to get a set of the heads here, going to put it on there. We'll move this forward 1/2 inch and try and get that final fit. But in the meantime, I may attempt to start making the engine mounts, just so long as I can keep any kind of sparks or nasty stuff going towards the camera lady's body here. I said that before and I didn't do it, but I think this week we've got to get some moving on some of these other projects, move this stuff around, because it's not that fun sanding for many hours, but I know that that's what we got to do, but we'll have to work between the two different projects here. Well, the accidental red guide coat is actually turning out quite good for me. I did buy some powdered guide coat, but with the red overspray, it actually is turning out really well as far as making sure everything's leveled off. It's just like a red mist on everything. Sanding it down right now with 320, and then I'm going to be going it back over it again with 400. But everything looking good so far. I probably found 2 teensy tiny little pinholes that I'll probably fix up. Really probably by the time we paint them, we'll never notice them, but I'm gonna go fix them up anyway. So right now I have the cowl done all the way around the other side. So now what's left is to do the door, this quarter, and the back section right there. And then of course doing the underside or the back side of the deck lid. And hopefully once that's done, we're going to paint the bottom. I'll probably jack it up with the stand here, pull it up with the stand. We'll paint the bottom, we'll paint the inside, and then paint the outside. For this episode though, right now, all I'm hoping to accomplish is get everything completely sanded, plus a bunch of other little things done around the shop. But anyway, making good progress on it. It just takes time. So I've been over with the camera lady's chassis today, working on installing the gas tank. Really not that big of a job, but still kind of important to do. Got basically a couple bolts with a little rubber gasket made up that's in between this side. And then over here, you can see some of the rubber gasket squeezed out there. I didn't use the webbing. I just used some rubber gaskets that I had kicking around from plumbing stock, actually. Then the other thing, hooked up the fuel pickup tube. We capped off the return line because we're not running electronic fuel injection or something where you've got a return line. We are going to be running a vent. The plan is to run a tube from the vent out here, up through the body, and into the rain gutter area of the trunk. The other thing, I hooked up this AN6 line here. I had to mess around with it quite a bit because one thing with these lines is there's not a lot of real estate. You can easily pinch a line. So essentially, the body itself is going to come down and almost touch this line. I know that from having done it before. What we'll do is I'll put another clamp over here to hold it against that, but I want that line actually to be flexible enough so it'll go down there and fit underneath the body, because there's really not a lot of room here. Some people, and well actually I think on 5 windows there's a hole cut out in the floor to access the sending unit, I think. On the Roadster, there's no hole at all. So the only thing we have left to do here is kind of put another clamp here against the frame so that this doesn't flop around. Then we got to put the fuel level sending unit in place and then run a ground wire from here to the body. And then we're going to run another wire from here so that it's loose, so that when I put the body on, I don't have to mess around putting like a line to the fuel sending unit. I'll have a spare line there. So got the spreader bar on it as well. Just ran some stainless steel bolts, made sure I put some Never Sees on them. Some people don't like using stainless, some do. The only thing is whether you're using stainless steel with stainless steel nuts, you got to put Never Sees on them. I know I've mentioned that before and most everybody knows that, but anyway, we're going to carry on. We'll get the fuel sending unit in place and move on to the next. Oh, still making progress, even though really doesn't show too much in the video here. But so far, everything has been block sanded with 320 all the way around. I'm happy with it so far. I did find one spot as a result of blocking out the guide coat or the red haze, whatever you want to call it. In this corner here, I actually had a little bit of a flat spot, and when I started blocking it out, you could actually see it. So there's an ultra slim coating of the same filler I was using before, the spot putty stuff, the spotlight. So there's an ultra thin coating there on this spot, which actually now it's got the right shape to it. Also, there was another teensy tiny spot that I had to fill in this corner and on the top of the door once I started blocking it out, and basically cutting off the top of the high build body filler. Now, the high build body filler by itself, at least when I spray it on, it's quite orange peely. So you can actually see as you're cutting through with it and where any low spots or high spots are going to be. Same thing with the guide coat onto it. The mist, you mist on the spray, or you get the powder, or whatever you're going to do. I still have to block the top of the deck lid, so you can still maybe kind of see the hazy finish and a little bit of the orange peely here. So I already had blocked this one out before and found some low spots, but there's still a chance when I go over this that I'm going to find something else. Don't really want to, but that's the process. You keep blocking it out till you take all the imperfections out. So anyways, I'm going to block that with 320 tomorrow. I ordered some more 400 sandpaper, so I still have to do everything inside and out. Well, mostly outside, a little bit inside with 400 before we're ready to start painting. So tonight, just finishing off the gas tank install. The few things, like I said, I really wanted to do was get everything in so that when I set the body onto it, there's no fishing wires or hoses or anything up to the gas tank, because it's actually quite inaccessible once it's in place. The things, like I said I was going to do, I went and found another piece of wire here that's marked fuel sending unit. Fortunately for me, over the years with the wiring jobs I've done, I've always kept all the bits and pieces. I've cut off all of the harnesses, stuck them in this box, and then when I need something else to splice in later or whatever, I've always got something to dig through. So when you get one of those wiring kits, you wire one of your hot rods, there's always an extra 2, 3, 4 feet on every piece. So like I said, I save it. If you do the same thing, especially if you're going to build more than one hot rod or you're going to help a friend or something, you'll have the stash to pick from. The other thing was that I ran this vent line here. So the plan is to run the vent line along here, have it come up through the body and into the drip rail in the back where the deck lid is. I don't want to run it without a vent. I ran one without a vent, and I wound up putting a vent cap on, like a little hole into it. Yeah, it's kind of not ideal. You have to kind of, when you crack open the gas cap, you got to wait for the pressure to release and everything else. So we're venting this one. The other thing I like to do, and it isn't always necessary, you can check your ground with a continuity tester. Usually you have a good ground, but I always like to run a separate ground that goes from the sending unit to the frame. Then I know that it's always going to work, because usually more often than not, the reason why your gas sending unit doesn't work is because it just doesn't get a good ground. The other thing I failed to mention in the clip before this was that the hose going to the fuel tank. Now, originally we had a line coming all the way up from the engine up to this point, and my hose actually ended here. That wasn't done on purpose, but it actually leaves us to an option that's going to help us in the future if we have to take the gas tank out. So by leaving a joint here, I've got a male fitting to the two hoses. If I ever have to take the gas tank out, I can reach up underneath and undo this line, and then I can slide the gas tank out, because otherwise, if everything is in there tight, there's really no room to reach up and unhook everything, unless, like I said previously, you've got a hole in the floor. I don't in this case, so I want to make this so that if I have to take the gas tank out, which I'm not planning to, if I have to take it out, I've got some easy options without having to lift the body up and unscrew stuff. So anyways, pretty much we are ready for the gas tank. There's nothing else that I have to do to it right now, kind of wrapping up the stuff here on the body before we finish painting it. But that's it for the complete pre-body install gas tank installation. So I hope that this is the last time I show you the car in primer. Right now, earlier on, I had sanded everything with 320. The entire body now I've gone over with 400. Unfortunately, I had another delay trying to get some 400 sandpaper. I ordered some and it got canceled and had to get some more in. But the other complication this week, it snowed here, so I had to shove the body over to where the camera lady is. You can't see that, but there. And actually changed 4 sets of tires. I think there was 2 oil changes, transmission change, 2 brake jobs, and a bunch of odds and ends in between here. So, and that happens. That's a seasonal thing here. I mean, we usually do it in the fall, we do it in the spring. It just happened to happen this week. So still made a lot of progress. I'm really happy with the way the body is. Everything's done with 400. I checked everything over with 320, really didn't see anything wrong. I don't expect to see anything wrong now when I blow everything off with the 400. But what I'm gonna do, I'll probably open a door up or move it outside, blow everything out, go over it one more time. I usually don't do 600, but I know that a lot of people use 600. I have some 600. I may cave and go over it again with 600 before I paint it, but right now this is usually where I stop with a coat of sealer and 2 coats of single stage on top of it. It usually can't see any scratches. But anyways, what we'll do in next episode, we'll get this cleaned off. What I'm going to do is tape off the entire part of the body, the shiny outside bits, and what we'll do is we'll spray the inside, spray the underside, and then when that dries up, the plan will be to tape everything off and just spray the outside. So what we'll do next episode, I'll go as far as I can with that. I still got a couple more tire changes to do for the family, so they'll be shoved in there next week. But we're still making progress on the Roadster. Next week there will be some color on this, even if it's just half of it. So come on back next week, see what we're up to. Everybody have a great week. Please like, share, tag, and subscribe, and everybody have a great one. Take care.